rod.
Is Hrogar innocent or not? Ava? Didn't think she had it in her. I assume you have proof? Can't go making accusations like that without proof. So it's true, the traitorous bitch. Morthal owes you a debt. Here, you were promised a reward for solving the crime, but I need one more favor from you.
What would that be?
Morthal is still in danger. The journal mentions Movarth, a master vampire I thought was destroyed a century ago.
She was happy to see me.
I'll gather together some able-bodied warriors to clean out Movarth's lair. They'll be waiting outside for you to lead them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Able-bodied is in a bunch of peasants with pitchforks. Yep, I was right.
Take us to Movarth's lair.
Take us! Yeah!
Kill the vampire!
Kill
Oh,
him!
you mean the vampire that's
Destroy him!
right here? Oh, that shot missed.
Huh? Oh!
That was easy. Ow. Oh, now I remember. I forgot I had AI detection turned off for some reason. At least this jackass didn't cause any problems. Okay. Hi.
Greetings.
I'll be back.
Until next time.
Yep. We have to go clear out Movarth's
Heard they're
lair.
reforming the Dawn Guard. Vampire hunters or something in the old fort near Riften.
Yeah, no. Oh, god damn it. Speak with the leader of the... Wait, what?
I'll skin you alive! This what you want, huh?
Must have scared us.
Must have run off.
Idiot bandits. Why do you have an amulet of Talos? You're a bandit. I hope someday you realize you have a Dark Brotherhood contract out on your head.
I'm just a poor... They may be cowards, but I'm not. I'll go with you.
Yeah, I think you better be better if you waited here.
I suppose you're right. I'm not a fighting man. Go, and avenge my Laylet for me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love how sometimes they stick the mushrooms like so far in that when you want to go pick them, you end up entering the dungeon instead of being able to grab what you're trying to get. Okay. So we get to clear out Movar's lair. What's going on? I'll get that. Oh, and the armor I'm wearing is. I don't care about if YouTube's bitches about this. The armor I'm wearing. This is added by organized bands of Skyrim. A Dark Brotherhood amulet. If it is said if one were to don this amulet while wearing the full garb of an acolyte of Sithis, perhaps the Dreadlord may take notice. The Soul Ring is added by Legacy of the Dragonborn. And this is added by Obis as well. But I have a armor retexture mod that makes it all kind of scantily clad. And the bow is from the Black Sacrament mod. Any humanoid opponents hit with the arrow, if they're not resistant, they explode into a pile of bone, gold, and bones. You can pick
Seems like you have a bit
human
of gold
hearts and
left
human
in your
flesh off
pockets,
of them.
don't you, my friend? Yes. Let me just take this coin purse off your hands for you. And those nice boots you...
like that. Usually you can interact with that. Okay. Yeah, let's pick some mushrooms. And I'll take the meat. And it landed upright. Did you see that? I knocked it off the barrel and it actually landed upright. Bunch of clothes, belted tunic. found my sneak at 50. And it's really sad because Movarth there used to be a back in the 4th era. He used to be a member of the Fighters Guild. He was also a renowned vampire hunter. And it's kind of ironic that eventually the Dragonborn, depending on your choice, can end up in the same twist of fate. They can go from being a revered hero like he was to being an undead nightmare for others. I saw you teleport from there.
Someone.
Yes, look at the body.
There.
Stand there long enough to get smacked, kicked in the back of the tail. Same with you. Movarth, you poor fool. Now, if I go that way, see, there's also the unfortunate circumstance that I'm going to have to kill Alva, and I also have another mod installed that gives me an armor compilation of all of Deserter X's armors. That is one big skull. Anyone ever notice how sometimes you find skulls like this that are 3 to 5 times bigger than a normal human skull? Okay, what's next? Oh, I can use that. Next is health, orchestra of thunderbolts, gold, and a card of walls. I do not need. Actually, I will take the shield because I can disenchant that from my armor when my character does become a vampire. Take that. And there it is. The moons and stars were hidden from sight, making that particular quiet night especially dark. The town guard had to carry torches to make their rounds, but the man who came to call at my chapel carried no light with him. And this is basically his backstory. I came to learn that Movarth Pequeen could see in the dark almost as well as the light, an excellent talent considering his interests were exclusively nocturnal. One of my acolytes brought him to me, and from the look of him, I at first thought he was in need of healing. He was pale to the point of opalescence, with a face that looked like it had once been very handsome before unspeakable suffering. The dark circles under his eyes bespoke exhaustion, but the eyes themselves were alert, intense, almost insane. He quickly dismissed my notion that he himself was ill, though he did want to discuss a specific disease. Vampirism, he said, and then paused at my quizzical look. I was told that you were someone I should seek out for help understanding it. Who told you that? I asked with a smile. Ticinia Gray. I immediately remembered her. A brave, beautiful knight who had needed my assistance separating fact from fiction on the subject of the vampire. It had been 2 years, and I had never heard whether my advice had proved effective. You spoken to her? How is her ladyship? I asked. Dead, Mulvarth replied coldly, and then, responding to my shock, he added to perhaps soften the blow. She said your advice was invaluable, at least for the one vampire. When last I talked to her, she was tracking another. It killed her. Then the advice I gave her was not enough, I sighed. Why do you think it would be enough for you? I was a teacher once myself, years ago. Not in the university, a trainer in the Fighters Guild. And if I know that if a student doesn't ask the right questions, the teacher cannot be responsible for his failure, I intend to ask you the right questions. And that he did. For hours he asked questions and I answered what I could. But he never volunteered any information about himself. He never smiled. He only studied me with those intense eyes of his, committing every word I said to memory. Finally, I finally turned the questioning around. You said you were a trainer at the Fighters Guild? Are you on an assignment for them? No, he said curtly, and finally I could detect some wariness in those feverish eyes of his. I would like to continue this tomorrow night, if I could. I need to get some sleep and absorb this. You sleep during the day? I smiled. To my surprise, he returned the smile, though it was more of a grimace. When tracking your prey, you adapt their habits. The next day, he did return with more questions. These ones were very specific. He wanted to know about the vampires of eastern Skyrim. I told him about the most powerful tribe, the Volkihar, paranoid and cruel, whose very breath could freeze their victims' blood in their veins. I explained to him how they lived beneath the ice of remote and haunted lakes, never venturing into the world of men except to feed. Mulvarth Pequeen listened carefully and asked more questions into the night, until at last he was ready to leave. I will not see you for a few days, he said, but I will return and tell you how helpful your information has been. True to his word, the man returned to my chapel shortly after midnight 4 days later. There was a fresh scar on his cheek, but he was smiling that grim but satisfied smile of his. Your advice helped me out very much. But you should know that the Volkihar have an additional ability you didn't mention. They can reach through the ice of their lakes without breaking it. It was quite a nasty surprise being grabbed from below without any warning. How remarkable, I said with a laugh, and terrifying. You're lucky you survived. I don't believe in luck. I believe in knowledge and training. Your information helped me, and my skill in melee combat sealed the bloodsucker's fate. I've never believed in weaponry of any kind. Too many unknowns. Even the best swordsmith has created a flawed blade. But you know what your body is capable of. I know I can land 1,000 blows without losing my balance, provided I get the first strike. The first strike, I murmured? So you must never be surprised. That's why I came to you, said Mulvarth. You know more than anyone alive about these monsters and all their cursed varieties across the land. Now you must tell me about the vampires of northern Valenwood. I did as he asked, and once again his questions taxed my knowledge. There were many tribes to cover. The Bunsamu, who were indistinguishable from Bosmer except when seen by candlelight. The Kirlith, who could disintegrate into mist. The Vrekif, who swallowed men whole. The dread Telboth, who preyed on children, eventually taking their place in the family, waiting patiently for years before murdering them all in their unnatural hunger. Once again he bade me farewell, promising to return in a few weeks, and once again he returned as he said, just after midnight. This time Mulvarth had no fresh scars, but he again had new information. You were wrong about the Kurtlith being able to vaporize when pushed underwater, he said, patting my shoulder fondly. Fortunately, they cannot travel far in their mist form, and I was able to track it down. It must have been surprised it fearfully. Your field knowledge is becoming impressive, I said. I should have had an acolyte like you decades ago. Now tell me, he said, of the vampires of Cyrodiil. I told him what I could. There was but one tribe in Cyrodiil, a powerful clan who had ousted all other competitors, much like the Imperials themselves had done. Their true name was unknown, lost in history. Well, we know them as a Cyrodiilic order, or Cyrodiilic Imperius, but they were experts at concealment. If they kept themselves well-fed, they were indistinguishable from living persons. They were cultured, more civilized than the vampires of the provinces, preferring to feed on victims while they were asleep, unaware. They will be difficult to surprise, Movar frowned, but I will seek one out, and I'll tell you what I learned. And then you will tell me of the vampires of High Rock, Hammerfell, Elsewhere, Blackmarsh, Morrowind, and Somerset Isles, yes? I nodded, knowing then that this man was on an eternal crusade, quest. He wouldn't be satisfied with the barest hint of how things were. He needed to know it all. He did not return for a month, and on the night that he did, I could see his frustration and despair. There were no lights burning in my chapel. I failed, he said, as I lit a candle. You were right. I could not find a single one. I brought the light up to my face and smiled. He was surprised, even stunned by the pallor of my flesh, the dark hunger in my ageless eyes, and the teeth. Oh yes, I think the teeth definitely surprised a man who could not afford to be surprised. I haven't fed in 72 hours, I explained, as I fell on him. He did not land the first blow or the last. Now to get rid of power. Because I don't know why, but I've been getting this bug where they all.
What was that? Ha! Found it! Die, damn you! Never should have come here.
I'm not worried.
You ruined everything! Not impressed. I'll kill you where you stand. And you thought I was just a pretty face. Just a taste. No, you don't. Yeah. What you want? Huh?
Time to finish this.
I'll kill you where you stand. I'm going to enjoy this.
Ha! So I did. I must have missed it up in the corner. So I did get contracted. Oh, hold on. I got it. There's one more thing in here I need to get before. There we go. Oh, nice. Picked up ammunition. Iron, fine, leather. Stone cloak officer boots. Imperial. Shows you how active Movar's vampires have been. They got, if they managed to get those, and various others.
Mother's calling me. It's time for me to sleep now. I'm so tired. Thank you for making her feel better.
Business with the Jarl. I'd ask that you speak to me first.
You look sick. By the 8, I didn't think you could do it. Now maybe we can put all this behind us. Take this as a token of our gratitude. There is room in my court for a new Thane. It's an honorary title mainly, but there are a few perks someone like you could make use of. However, I could only grant the title to someone who is known throughout my hold. You help my people, and I'll make you my Thane. Good luck. Until next time.
I do what I can to see that Idgrud's time isn't wasted, and that she only has to deal with important matters.
Okay. It's too bad you can't buy Hrogar's old house and just, like, rebuild it or something.
I mostly deal with petty thievery and drunken brawls. Been too long since we've had a good bandit raid.
I'd be a lot warmer and a lot happier with a belly full of mead.
Oh, do come in. I hope I have what you need. If you need any alchemy supplies, I'll do my best to provide them. Assuming I haven't used them all up. No. Well, sometimes, but that's not the problem. I just often don't have much to do, so I tend to try things out. They don't usually work, but I try. Next thing I know, I've used up most of my stock. I picked up the trade when I was a girl. One of the temple healers staying here on a pilgrimage showed me the basics. She had a book with her, Song of the Alchemists, that I used to read over and over. I miss having a copy. Really? I'd be happy to show you a bit about herbs if you find the book. I think I can teach you a thing or two.
Oh, nice. Okay, there we go.
Until next time.
All right.
Thanks for clearing out that vampire nest. You saved Morthal.
Well, you're welcome.
Have you seen my mother? I'm still waiting for her to come home. Papa says that I shouldn't keep waiting. Why not? Hey, you want to play a game? Really? All right. You pick. Tag or hide and seek? I know all the good spots. You don't stand a chance. You stand right there and count to 10. No peeking. Ready? Okay, go!
Speak quickly. Yes?
Damn.
I'm the best warrior in Morthal, and that's no boast.
Huh, okay.
Until next time.
My turn. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm coming.
Get back in.
10, 9. Found you.
Ah. see what all these noises are. Oh, there you are.
Here for work. Thank you for saving me from Alva. I was completely under her evil spell. I'll never forget. Honest gold for honest work. All right then.
Here's Fallion's little spot. I also have a mod that adds in extra like mushrooms and trees. It's called Dark Forest Older Homes. What the hell are you? What?
What you want, stranger? I don't have time for chit-chat.
Yeah.
Ha! Don't worry. I'll make sure your cousin gets plenty of exercise before he chews my leg off.
Wow. Oh yeah, you're bold. I'd like to know your name so I can carve it into your hips.
Ha! Then let me make sure you carve it correctly. I apologize for giving you such a hard time, but you adventurers make such easy targets. Greetings, brave traveler. My clan once knew me as Anam La. The fighters I stand beside, however, call me the Swamp Knight.
I love that you can take her as a follower.
As opposed to going backwards? I haven't thought about it, but your company makes me long for the old days. In truth, I only came to Skyrim to rid myself of that urchin. Now that I'm here, maybe I'll adventure for a bit. Or maybe I'll forge a new legend, right here in this adorable little puddle the Nords call a marsh.
Oh, no, oh yeah, I forget. I also have interesting NPCs installed, so this helped me gain a step further to think.
Well, it's a short story. I carry a sword. I'm from the swamps of Black Marsh. Do you need me to continue, or can you piece it together from here?
There's obviously more to it than just being Argonian.
You're a clever one. Saw right through my glib response. All right, I'll tell you. But it's a long story. so you might want to sit down for this one. I was hatched in a small tribal village, lost in the swamps between Thorn and Hellstrom. In other words, in the middle of nowhere. As the hatchling of a small and pitiful clan, I couldn't afford to travel to the city and train under the guidance of the tribal guard. Right you are, but few boats stopped by my village. There were visitors. In fact, every few years, a recruiter from the city would come to the village and conscript those in the clan who showed promise. Only a handful of hatchlings were chosen. All of them were males. Males I bested in combat 100 times over. I figured the only way I'd be a soldier was to train on my own. So, one night, I went out into the deepest swamps with nothing but a hist branch. I committed myself to killing a feather serpent. On the second night, I thought I'd vanquish 3. By the first hour, my only goal was to survive. Somehow, I managed. I labored through the bog and hid inside a hollowed-out tree. I waited and watched for predators. And as I watched, I learned. I saw how the serpent camouflaged itself in the foliage, how the Leviathan waded effortlessly through the swamp, simply by refusing all effort. I saw how on bright days, the lizard used the Hackwing's own shadow to scuttle around unseen, and how on dark days, all creatures clung to the mist. By the time I was grown, I could slay 5 feathered serpents with a single slash and do it with my eyes closed.
Yeah, what brought you to Skyrim?
That's an old story. Back when the Hrothgar monks had milk in their beards from sucking their mother's teats. Okay, maybe not that old, but old. I was traveling in Black Marsh with a company of fighters. We fashioned ourselves the Honorable 8. We were an elite band of fighters, hired to do jobs common sellswords weren't equipped for. At first, I thought the honorable part was a joke. Our company was made up of liars, drunkards, and lying drunkards. But they were all loyal. And they were all honorable. They were good beasts, mare and men.
Yes, I can say this. By the way, I know the Greybeards. They're still whiny children.
That may be true, but even knowing your intentions were good is not enough to absolve. Knowing won't rid you of the shame. We were, and we did. The job was simple. Clear out a cave of necromancers that were terrorizing one of the clans that resided near the border. The clan said a hatchling had gone missing, and rumors were abound of corpses stolen for experiments, and live bodies turned into corpses. When we got there, the shadow scale Ula Wade scouted ahead as the rest of us waited near the entrance. He found bear traps and tripwires. The occupants were further in, he said, black robe mages, chanting. The whole thing stunk like a Thalmor's wet diaper. Traps or no, bandits usually post sentries in and outside the cave. The Nord, Arnwulf, though, he got tired of all the standing around. Black robes and ominous words. Good enough for him. Dalum A gave the nod. Couldn't chance it. Some poor hatchling could have been on a table, about to become some sick bastard's war puppet. Sadly, no. The child was on the table like Ulaway said, but she was already dead. The people around her were mourners. Black robes. They were refugees from Cyrodiil, Altmer, Khajiit, and Argonian, driven from Leaween. To the clans, they might as well have been wraiths. I don't know who struck first. It didn't matter. We killed them all. Well, all except one.
Who was it?
It was an Imperial boy, hiding in a small crevice in the rock. I didn't know who he was, or if he was even with the refugees. The boy was a mute. Part of me thought it would be better to slay him, but another part of me saw the hatchling in the swamp, just trying to survive till morning. The company disbanded. Honor brought us together, and dishonor drove us apart. Me and the healer, Elia, went north. The boy, he followed. We split up in Bravel. Don't know why he chose me. Seems to me he was better off with a Breton. But as I kept going north, he never left my side. I don't think Elia would have wanted him around either. Males grow squeamish at the mere talk of children, let alone the sight of one.
What happened to him?
I kept going north, figuring at some point the boy would stop following me. Gotta give it to the little runt. He had courage. Eventually, I realized I could have walked right into the sea of ghosts, and the little Histcarp would have dove right in. I was halfway through the marsh when I decided to head back to Morthal. I turned to the pesky urchin and told him, "All right, you win." Imagine my surprise when I found myself talking to a patch of death bells. Ha 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 ha! There was no one there. Some may ask why I'm a knight without armor. Others contend I wear the mourner's clothes to honor the brave warriors I slay. Those in my company will tell you I wear it to mourn the refugees who died that day, and all the innocents who die in the pangs of war. I will tell you that there's only one thing in this world I truly mourn. My sanity! Ha 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 ha!
Okay. Well, hopefully I know where to come back and find her again. See, I really do like the interesting NPCs mod because it adds stuff like that was lacking in the base game, where you can just find these NPCs wandering like that, and it ends up adding to the story of Skyrim. I mean, really. Oh, wait. Ow. Oh, yes. Fallen third. Where is it? There it is. Okay. We are going to take a break here. And in the next upload, we are going to start the Forbidden Legends quest, where you have to hunt down the remnants, the shards of the Galder amulet. Okay, that will be in tomorrow's video. My channel is mainly an animation channel. I've done a few others, reaction videos, you know, art videos, lots of other stuff. But I'm really annoyed with how YouTube treats content creators, because I'm not going to stop being an animation channel. It's what my channel started off as. It's what it's going to stay as.